Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Matt, listening to Real Talk 910 in San Francisco. Matt in Napa, California. Hey, Matt, what's up?
Hey, Tom. I wanted to talk about the Syrian conflict real quick, but if I could, just your conversation about the deep state, just name drop Peter Dale Scott real quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he was partially responsible for that term. Yeah, on Syria, I mean, the thing I wanted to talk about was somewhat of the backdrop of the issues of the chemical weapons attacks, the American reporters that are actually there, the international bodies on the chemical weapons attack, the one in 2016, the 2 points I would make. Number one, we supposedly already had a big showdown with Russia and Syria about a chemical weapons regime, or inspectors being in there and that all being taken care of, and why that was out the window that they had chemical weapons was really not really addressed very much. The Russian versions of events were that the bomb that the Russian plane dropped was dropped on a terrorist chemical facility, and that was actually what was responsible. That didn't seem to be taken up much by the American media. It doesn't seem like there's very many reporters there. The reporters that are there that seem to be reporting, Eva Bartlett, another woman, that a lot of interesting information on the white helmets that seems contrary to the general narrative.
Yeah, the problem is you're absolutely right. There are very few reporters there, and we don't know what is Syrian propaganda versus what is actually going on. One of the things that I find most interesting about all this is this story. This is by Jonathan Vankin. The headline is 4 months after threat to seize Trump Towers Istanbul, Trump gave in to Turkey's Syria troop pullout demand. And this is Donald Trump, according to a CNN investigative report published on Sunday, made his announcement that he ordered a full withdrawal after a phone call with Erdogan. And where to go? Erdogan said on Friday that they will soon launch a major military operation against the Kurds. The whole point here, here it is. The call to seize Trump Towers Istanbul came from Turkey's IYI party, the Good Party in English, which implored Erdogan to seize the buildings as retaliation for U.S. sanctions against two top officials in Erdogan's regime. So that's something that Erdogan is holding over Trump. And then this story from ABC News: Turkey masses troops near Kurdish-held Syrian town. They're getting ready for an invasion. What do you think of that?
Yeah, not good. And there was some insinuation that the chemical attacks, I guess 2013, the first major attack, that there was Turkish fingerprints on that attack as well. So, I mean, the Turks are clearly a concern.
And that it might have been a false flag operation in that context.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. And I don't hold a strong opinion about to what extent and how many of these things on either side have been false flag or manipulation operations versus, genuine, horrible human rights violations, because it's just so hard to know. But, this is just a terrible and brutal war. I know that much. Matt, thanks a lot for the call. Ronnie in Mesquite, Nevada. Hey, Ronnie, what's up?
Hi, Tom. First of all, thank you for your show, and thank you for answering my call. I live in a relatively small rural town, and I was reading in our local newspaper yesterday that laws are being formulated now, or regulations are being formulated now as part of the new trade regulations that might be coming up, where they're trying to stop for 10 years American citizens getting any discounts on drugs from other countries like Canada. And this, to me, despite the normal corruption that we see every day, seems like almost an attack on the American people.
Well, this is already the case, Ronnie. You can't. I mean, you can. People order from Canadian pharmacies all the time through the internet, but you can't legally do it, and it's technically illegal. And I remember back, in the 90s when we lived in Vermont, Bernie Sanders every Saturday morning was organizing busloads of people in downtown Montpelier and Burlington, who would then, and mostly elderly people on Medicare, who would then drive up to Canada to buy their pharmaceuticals. But you had to actually go there physically. But that's where we're at right now. Are you saying that the Republicans want to extend that profit protection for the pharmaceutical industry for another 10 years? Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
I missed this story.
That's what I'm reading, and I don't know if it's true, but that's what I'm reading.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's been the law for 40, 50 years, And,
Wow.
you know, for a long time anyway. I'm surprised that, you know, I mean, Republicans, obviously, it's a corrupt, sold-out party that has no soul and no principles and, you know, basically no ideas other than take what you can get and, you know, get rich as fast as you can and you know, keep the rubes, you know, flipped out using, you know, racism and misogyny. I mean, that's basically what they're up to. And so, you know, one of the industries that pays the Republicans very, very well is the pharmaceutical industry. And so they're going to do everything they can to protect those profits. I mean, that's what they did with Medicare Part D. It was a $600 billion subsidy to the pharmaceutical industry, taking the money out of Medicare. So it was a twofer for the Republicans. A, they got to reduce the viability of Medicare, and B, they handed billions of dollars off to their buddies who would then cycle them back to them as campaign contributions. Ronnie, if you can find that story on the internet and just tweet the link to me, I'd appreciate it. That's the best way to get something to me fast. I do read my Twitter feed, and I'd love to see the story. Ronnie, I got to move along, but thank you for the call. Ted in Black Diamond, Washington. Hey, Ted, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Tom.
Hey.
I hope the day is doing well for you.
No complaints.
And I'm talking about the government shutdown. One idea, you have a lot of constitutional amendments thrown at this program, but what I would suggest that would also have political points because it's such a high bar to pass would be a constitutional amendment against any group, party, or individual closing down the government, that the government cannot be shut down as a constitutional amendment. And, I mean, you know, even if it doesn't get passed, make the other side argue against it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how you could do that in a way that would comport with the Constitution. Perhaps you could pass a law that said that if any federal agency is running out of funds, their funds are automatically extended for a 6-month period or a 3-month or a 1-month period, whatever. You know,
the wording,
the wording
would
is
have to be worked out, but the intent that's important. It's it's when congressmen swear to protect our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right.
To me, I think our biggest problem right now are our domestic enemies, many of which are within the government right now.
I agree, and you know, like the entire Republican Party, you know, I wince at the use of the word enemies. You know, like Donald Trump calling the media the enemies of the people, but
enemies of the people, the press.
Yeah, but at least not advocates. I mean, the whole idea of having an elected representative body, a group of people who the majority of the people say, yes, these are the people we want to represent us, is that those people will then represent the interests of the folks who voted them in. And that's, routinely done by Democrats, by the majority of Democrats anyway, and it's routinely not done by Republicans. Republicans consistently, vote for and promote policies that screw their own voters. And it's just amazing that people are still voting for them. But I think that the big thing that Republicans have going for them is that the media, the television programs, in particular the Sunday shows, but also the news programs, will not talk about issues in a way that would highlight the differences between the Republican, perspective on everything from health care to, whether your bank should be able to rip you off versus the Democratic perspective on those. And so they can continue to get away with this stuff because I think the average voter just doesn't know how badly Republicans are screwing them. So
right. That's why I think we should take that tactic off the table, closing down the government every time one side doesn't get their way. Yeah,
well, you're taking a weapon away from the Republicans. It may be a weapon, though, that they've used so often it's actually starting to hurt them more than their opponents. But that said, I think that the ultimate power is at the ballot box. We just need to vote these guys out of office. But your point is well taken, Ted. I'm not sure how to do the language, but I'm sure it could be done. Thanks a lot for the call. It's great to hear from you. We'll be back. It's Anything Goes Friday here on the Thom Hartmann Program. Back with more of your calls right after this.